Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. It is something that all of us have the same amount of, but we always say we don't have enough of it. You can't buy more of it. So many songs have been made about this topic, including the one that comes to mind, taking away the moments of the dull day, one day closer to death. I'm referring to Pink Floyd. The song is Time. We're going to talk about time today, how it affects you. What is time? Does it really actually exist? Is it an illusion? These are things I'm wondering that may be going through his mind when we talk about time. He's got a lot of insight as a healer, an intuitive. This gentleman harnesses the power of so many different modalities to move your life forward, from hypnotherapy to acupuncture and so much more. Our professional viewer, Chris Distefano, is back with us. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. Thanks. Great to see you, Steve.
Happy to spend this time with you. Does time really exist as the way we think it does?
Obviously not, because basically everything we have is conditioned. Older societies view time more as circular as opposed to the linear second by second by second, one event following the other of time. If anyone's ever experienced deja vu or a premonition, then their consciousness has hopped outside of the linear time.
Ooh. Oh, that's an interesting thought. So when you have a thought that you've been here before, or something flashes back in your mind, a memory of such, you're actually getting out of your current timeline? Are you actually, this is where I start to get confusing, and then I just throw in the towel and I walk away. At that moment, that deja vu moment, did it really exist? Did it at that moment, or is it a memory, or are you actually going back to that time?
So the physical body pretty much is going to be following linear time. It was really cool. I read a book recently. I'll be darned if I can remember the name of it, but it's about going into our zone of genius and not just our zone of excellence, because we could be good at something, but it's not necessarily what we're supposed to do. Our genius is where we really shine and have that completion. Now, in that book, he wrote a particular chapter, and it was something I had experienced in a deep meditation, which is I am time. And we actually have the time we decide. If you decide you're always going to be rushed, your life will end up turning into that. If you decide, I get where I am when I'm supposed to be there, the time starts to happen for us. I'm not saying it's completely like manipulating time, but mindset does have a huge bearing on time. And I realize this with a lot of my stuff. So what do? I do rapid release, which has been called by great hypnotists, hypnosis through the body. I actually was with someone during my absence. I was in Mexico doing a retreat. And one of the guys there actually he was walking like C-3PO because he was really bound up. By the end of it, he was walking normally. His entire gait, posture, and everything shifted. So what I love to work on, and the other accelerated healing specialist, everything I like to do is to give the person back their life and not have them waste their time in suffering. In the end, all of those symptoms are our body, which is intelligent, crying out, saying, hey, you're not using your time correctly. You're going in the wrong direction. Pay attention to something.
So let's go back to where you said, if you're always in a rush, you're going to wind up in a rush. Is that because we create our reality?
I wasn't going to go there, Steve. I was trying really hard not to.
But it sounds like that's what we're doing.
Ultimately, we do. You know, one of the examples I like to give, because we have this idea, it's a continuity bias. We have this idea that whatever we're doing right now is normal and will continue. So if a person is always feeling stressed, they have the same job as a guy next to them who just doesn't seem to be bothered by anything. They're like, this job is so stressful. One has to really look. Their mentality is creating it. If someone is always hurried and rushed, they're not getting anywhere faster. They're processing wrong.
Yep.
Because they're running deep fear patterns and not trusting themselves, their world, or whatever else around them. So yeah, we are even on that level. Then on a different level, yeah, we're also over scheduling. We're scheduling poorly. We're being inattentive, and that leads to a lot more pressure too.
Lots of process here because many of us are hurried and scattered and rushing because we don't want to confront reality. So that is the camouflage for it. You're always running. It's almost as if you don't want that quiet time because then you would need to face yourself and your current reality. So you intentionally, without you really knowing it, create that crazy schedule. I see that in a lot of people.
So I'm going to make a fun segue and you can steer me back. I have a patient who he's had a series of things going on, but lately it's been one catastrophe after another in his life, to the point where he has physical ailments that are really acting up, and they've been long-standing, but they've really come to a head. And then he has a business, and one of his vans got broken into, and the stuff got stolen. He also had some water damage in his house. The people working on it, very difficult. He got in arguments with them, etc. So he's running high-level stress. Now, he knows me for a while, and I was like, you're not letting yourself feel, are you? And he also recently, he'd been on an SSRI for a long time, and he took himself off about a month or two ago. So he's feeling things differently. He says he's feeling good, but he's feeling differently than he had for a while because he took himself off of this. And I advised he work with his doctor. I'm not sure if he did. So he's coming into me saying, fix my problems. And I keep saying, I said to him, have you even cried yet since you came off of that? And he's like, no, I pushed it down. I'm like, well, you're not letting yourself feel. And life keeps giving you these opportunities to actually experience something. What was fascinating was I'm a big fan of deepening my trust in the world, deepening my belief that things will turn out better. That's one of the things I learned through the depression. Depression traps me in worst case. And then I realized worst case doesn't always happen. And I just made myself miserable, wasting all my time in negative thoughts, not seeing where I wanted to go, not being productive, not moving forward, instead just being self-defeating. So here's what I told him. I said, listen, man, you have problems most people would die for. Yeah, your van got broken into and your stuff got stolen. But the insurance, because he was like, oh, I hate dealing with the insurance. I'm going to be on the phone with them for a little while. I'm like, you had the problem with your basement. The workers weren't great, but you were still made whole. So all of these problems resolved in a way that, like, most people be like, that's great. Someone stole my stuff. That's terrible. But it's coming back whole. So it's that ability to trust in the process, not waste all that time fighting in myself, running through all the scenarios, being angry, being bitter, instead just being like, wow, that sucks that it happened. I'm still whole, things are good, and I'm moving forward. That's the choice. And his body will release, because I know this guy, his body will release once he allows himself to fall into it.
You are intuitive. And I'm going to tell you why in a moment. I'm going to work my way back in terms of what you just said. So yeah. I understand like those feelings because I think I was that person at one point or a long point in my life up until a few years ago in my journey, where I'd let things rock me like, oh my God. Yeah, it does for a second now, but then I just move on. It's almost like a switch in my mind. Just, you know what? Not a big deal. Move on. You know, the shock of something. So here's the thing. Let's go back to the beginning of that story. I just had somebody sideswipe my SUV in the complex that I live in. And they blew out a tire, just had this police report, literally just happened, a few hours ago. Why am I bringing this up? Then you mentioned this gentleman talking about water damage. Well, in the complex I live in, I've had water damage before. Kind of frustrating. The work staff there, not the greatest. I'm being honest, transparent. And it was actually one of their workers that hit my vehicle. An accident, whatever. Okay. It'll get fixed, insurance and everything. But here's the weirdness, trusting the process. Hard to communicate with this company that owns the complex. I call my insurance company. The woman on the phone lives in the same complex. She knows exactly what I'm talking about, the communication with this at this company. And she even said, I had water damage and they screwed it all up at one point, and living in the same place that I live in. You just said all those things. And that is my reality. It's almost as if you were to pick that story, tapping into your intuition. And you know what? Trust the process. Yeah, I'm frustrated that it happened. But guess what? The universe has my back even more now because I trust it'll all be taken care of. She understands. She'll take care of it. She'll communicate with them. She gets it more than anybody else because she deals with it in the same complex. That makes sense?
That is beyond perfect because, that took the biggest stress you have off your plate.
It would have been resolved anyway, like you said. Most people would love to have that problem. Insurance company will deal with it. It's their insurance company. But one more layer of comfort, if you will, was that woman. She was beautiful and literally lives a street away in the same complex.
Yeah, so that level of service you're going to get is beyond what you would have expected.
Absolutely. But I also feel there are no coincidences. And she, out of all the employees at my insurance company, she's the one that answers the phone today.
And who knows? Maybe you just made a friend.
Maybe.
Good things happen through the bad sometimes. There's no such thing as good and bad. It's just what is.
And I'm not even going to say this is bad. It's an inconvenience. I will say if it was my newer vehicle, I'd say it's kind of bad, because I love it and it's only, a few months old. It's coming up on a year. This is an older vehicle, sentimental value, whatever, but whatever. And you know what? I was thinking about selling it and replacing it. I believe it's the universe's way of saying, let it go, dude. It's time to move on.
Exactly. And this is what's really wild is time is actually the most precious of our commodities.
It really is.
And that's when we think about money. Money is selling our time or our knowledge for a specific amount in order to do something. Money is for our time, ultimately. Either time we committed to learning something and then we share the knowledge, time we committed to getting in shape and then we get on TV or whatever. Whatever it is, ultimately it comes down to how we are using our time, and then the transactional nature that we've developed creates I buy an apple. I'm paying for the time of the person who stocked the shelf, who built the market, who pumped the oil, who built the truck. All of them are getting a nickel out of that apple. Yep. It's all their time.
I'm seeing something else here too. What's the most important thing? Your health. You can't really buy your health. You can buy treatment for your health. Steve Jobs, all the money in the world, and then some. It bought him a little more time here, but we know how that ended. But now I'm seeing this maybe in a different way. Your thoughts on this, please. Health is the most important thing. I'm thinking it's time, maybe, because if you take the time that you have to invest in your health, minimize stress, which we know causes disease, and all those other things, maybe it's time. That is the umbrella commodity of the supreme importance, and these other things come underneath it. What are your thoughts?
It really is. It's the component of time. Now, what does time have? Time has attention. Time has dilation and contraction. Time flies when you're having fun. Let's spend 5 minutes in boredom. So in that context, the attention and the time are actually kissing cousins. They're very, very, very closely tied. So if my attention and my devotion through my time is towards my well-being, well, those are incredible dividends that keep on giving. It increases my longevity and my time that I will be able to be functional at a high level. If I'm going to devote it again to being negative and stressed and all that stuff, I'm literally burning my candle for purposes that make no sense. So it's an incredible thing. And this is one of my big frustrations in what I do is, people deal with the medical system all the time. I had a guy in the other day. I've seen this guy a few times. He has a couple of fractured low back vertebra. He came in with his father who was low back pain also. So he's, patient is around 50. And he had been in physical therapy for a couple of months, and there were a couple of exercises they were having him do because he told me he's still having the same problem. It's like twisting. And so I said, you know what? And they were using like towels and ropes and pulling and all this other stuff, just really trying to get him to move. And it didn't really work even after a couple of months. So he spent a lot of time, energy, money. He came in and I had him show me what the exercises were because I'm wondering what this range of motion problem is. And then I had him do it my way, rapid release. I had him focus on not the pain, because when we focus on the pain, this transfers through all facets of life. When we focus on the pain, we amplify it. Instead, I brought his focus to the areas that he wasn't attending. Within 5 minutes, he was able to do one exercise. 5 minutes later, he did the other exercise, approximately 80 to 90%. Not 100%. It's going to take a little while to completely undo, but 80 to 90%, 10 minutes total for 2 exercises he couldn't get in 2 months. Why? Because believe it or not, and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, the system as it's designed is to create good patients. It's to create people that keep coming back. Like when I look at everything, I'm amazed. What is the cure for high blood pressure? Keep taking blood pressure pills. How many doctors talk to you about how are you handling your stress? What's your diet? This and that. How can we resolve the issues? Now, listen, anyone out there, you have blood pressure, get it taken care of. Do not have a stroke. But the system that exists keeps people coming back to manage it. It doesn't teach us how to become well.
Because it takes time.
Because it takes time, but also time is money. So the more they get of your time.
No, I'm sorry. Yes, and yes, and yes. I'm meaning because it takes time to make those changes in your life to lower your blood pressure. So this is an easier fix.
Yes, and we've been conditioned to believe that this is the only fix. People don't even know where to look.
Right.
And I get into it with patients sometimes because they follow Gary Null or any of these wellness gurus, right? They come in taking 45 different supplements and obsessing over every health problem. The most awful hypochondriacs are people studying medicine. Because as we learn the patterns, we're like, I have this, I have this, I have this. But then when we practice, we gain the discernment to differentiate the patterns and understand how the actual illness works. And if you have a set of symptoms, it doesn't mean you have something. It means you might. And how do we get that flavor, that subtle? So a lot of the people that are listening to this, and I was one of them for a while, end up taking so many supplements, they're hurting themselves. And they're obsessing over whatever their ailment may be. And that makes it worse. I have a patient for high blood pressure. She was obsessing over it, trying all the stuff, making herself worse. Never learned how to take blood pressure correctly.
I need to share this with you because it just popped in my head. As I was turning the key to the door of this studio office, I had a thought, and I'm not making this up. And I had no idea what we were talking about today. You brought the topic.
Never do, Steve. I'm full of surprises.
But I'm so fully transparent. I'm going to tell you right now that when I was putting that key in the door, this thought popped in my head. And it was almost, I think, a semi-subconscious thought. And that's why I didn't think of it until I'm processing this time conversation. The thought as I'm turning the key is, you need to be more careful with those you give your time to.
It's a valuable currency. Yeah.
And part of that spawned from, I work with a bunch of different people, and with 2 people in particular, they've known them for years, decades. Wonderful. I'm technically their client with the business that I have, but we work together and everything. And they said, hey, let's get together. Let's talk. Ultimately, they're going to try and sell me some stuff or whatever, things that might apply to clients that I have, et cetera. It's all good. I'm like, yeah, okay. I have very limited time. I tell them I can only do it, at this time and that time. And they say, all right, great. What about Tuesday? Sure. And then they said, okay, can you meet us here? Well, here is about a 45-minute drive, if not more, in rush hour traffic. And it will be maybe even more on the way back. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking, I love you guys. I haven't said anything yet. I love you guys, but no, I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
The time is valuable, and I don't need to drive somewhere. We could do this on the phone, but that was my thought of like, you need to. Yes, it'd be wonderful to catch up and everything, but I really, time is very important.
Yeah.
So I wrestle with that. Probably going to say, can we do it halfway at some point? And the location they described is where their office is, down the block,
Yeah.
and almost an hour away.
Yeah, that's brutal. Long Island. I know Long Island. That can be tough.
Yeah, but it goes back to, and not just that, but everywhere in your life, who are you giving your time to? Should we look at it this way? Who you give your time to? It's like you're opening up your wallet and handing money or giving a credit card. Same thing.
It's a million times that. So, like I said, attention and time, they're joined like kissing cousins. So think about it. You follow the media. I don't care what side you follow. You get rage baited and you sit there and obsess and get angry and you're literally giving all of your time to something you have no control over.
Yep.
Screaming and yelling, getting yourself worked up. That jerk at work, guess what? You've punched out, let it go. Otherwise, they win. You've given them your time. You've given them your energy. You've given them your attention. So it's beyond even like, I'm going to drive, I'm going to do this, I'm going to commit the physical time. If I'm sitting here, if I'm thinking about, wow, Steve is, thinking about you for 6 hours, I've given you all of that time, even if you don't know it.
Mm-hmm. I don't do politics, but I look at those who are very passionate about politics. Sounds the same to me, where you have minimal control. You do in your vote, but that doesn't happen often. But in the meantime, so many people are stewing over different situations. You got passion and frustration. Now what? What are you doing with that? I'm not judging. I'm observing and trying to understand.
One of the most powerful things I've ever learned is, would I rather be happy or right? I can spend all of my time and die on every hill to be right. I'd rather be happy.
That's one to write down and not forget.
Oh yeah, there are hills to die on. I promise you that, but there's not very many. I'd rather be happy.
Yes, and the hills you die on are the ones that you have that you can fight for and on, or have control over. Otherwise, and sometimes even if you have control, you can't control others. So sometimes it's not even worth the fight. And it's been said before, don't engage in battle unless it's a formidable battle. Like, why waste your time? Literally.
Exactly. So that's really where our attention goes. And this is getting a little bit woo. Where our attention goes, our energy flows. In reality transurfing, they call it pendulums. We can call it a million different things, but it's pulling us outside of ourselves, outside of our goals, outside of our truth, and putting us into someone else's world that's telling us how to think, act, and how to behave, what to do. So the choice is, am I going to take it back?
Interesting conversation today. And I laugh inside how it parallels with a lot of what I was thinking anyway. And I'm sure others think the same thing. This is what you do. How do we find you? How do we connect with you, Chris?
So scarsdalehealth.com is my acupuncture site. You can always get me through that. I also have acceleratedhealings.com is my coaching and rapid release site. So I could be contacted through that. And I'm on basically every social media using permutation of accelerated healing. So just reach out if you have any questions. This is what I do. I get people well faster than they could. Honestly, what I do is unbelievable. I release trauma that people think they can't get rid of. It's the coolest thing. They move their body and then they start sweating. They turn red because the trauma gets released without having to talk about it. And then they just feel 100 pounds lighter. They just feel awesome. And that persists.
And when you talk about time, it's rapid release.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Accelerated healing. Yeah.
We're out of time. So until next time, thank you. And we'll catch up soon.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.